Hello everyone, back with part 17 of my recent watches video. I've watched 8 in the last 12 days. Not too bad because I've been busy working and had my friend round and stuff. Not quite, a bit better than one every 2 days. You can do the maths, I'm not very good at decimal points. Before I start on this, I will just quickly say if anybody is watching this and hasn't seen my giveaway video, doing a giveaway since I got to 400 subscribers. I think I'm on about 419 now, probably a month or so, 3 weeks. Let's say 3 weeks ago, I reached the milestone, but I didn't really have much to give away or much money to sort of post the thing off and that. So go and check that out if you want to enter. I guess I'll give it like a week or so as many people can enter as possible before I draw the names out the hat. But enough of that. I thought I'd just sort of let people know in case they have missed that video. Let me get on showing them. I've got them all here, so let's start. I've got them in order of watches. I guess this one was probably 12 days ago. Spoke about this on a couple of videos, showed it on my Tartan video overview, deep dive collection, and showed it when I first picked it up. Is primer. If there's not too much glare. Not too sunny in the UK today, but gets more glare than a greenhouse in this movie room. We'll have an update actually coming soon about thinking of moving into a different room, but maybe I won't have a bed. I'll just have these DVDs as my pillow. I guess they're bigger than Blu-rays, but that'll be for another video. It's a tartan video. Primer. When I spoke about this, a few people had seen it. I think Steve for Films is a fan of this one. I think Ash from Popcorn and Horror. I think Jodie from Jodie's Movie Realm said she's interested but hasn't seen it. Yeah, I got this one. I think it was $3.50 in CEX. I think Ash said it does have a Blu-ray. Not sure if it's like UK or you have to import it, whether it's out of print. It's a 12, contains moderate language. So unlike a lot of the tartan video, which are quite challenging with gore or violence or some contentious subject matter, shall we say, this one it's only really a 12 for the language. Doesn't really have any like violence and stuff in as such. It's just a film about sort of physics, science experiment, but a bit deeper than that. 74 minutes. Year 2004, really good year for the tartan video or sort of independent films in general. Directed by Shane Carruth. So this was a first time watch. We'll watch it again. Not gonna lie, when I watched it I was quite alert and awake. Found it hard to sort of take it in, not just sort of the science is confusing or whatever, which it was slightly, but it's more, it just kind of jumps around a bit, and it doesn't sort of I don't think it's like a Tarantino film where it's all out of synchronicity, what's the word, chronological order as such, but it'll just jump from one bit. It might have just been me. I know a few people have said it sort of, they found it confusing and things. It's a good film. Like I've said a few times, don't really know where they're getting this Donnie Darko for grown-ups. Sorry if you can see that without the glare. It's not only nothing like Donnie Darko, but a bit of a slight on Donnie Darko, because it's hardly a kid's film, is it? Primer, what happens if it actually works, it says. I don't think I prefer this to Pi by Darren Aronofsky, which I'd say is the most similar kind of film. That's about maths, but just a deep dive into some like technical jargon that most people aren't gonna understand. It is. I guess it's I think it's USA. It's obviously English language. Just says language English, English hard of hearing subtitles. It was a good film. It was well made. Can't say I was too riveted to the story, just because it's that kind of story where, as it's happening, you don't really know where it's going. In terms of, it is a bit of a mystery, but also, it's like I say, it's not shot. Or shall I say, the story's not told conventionally. I'm gonna have to go and watch it again. Maybe the second time you'll pick it up a bit more. But say in The Fly, where he's doing the experiment, Brundle, and he's trying to teleport from one teleportation pod to the other, it's kind of easy to track exactly where he's going with the experiment. Whereas with some of this, I think it was just the sort of way it's paced and things. But it was good acting, well shot, good cinematography. Yeah, good film in general. Probably not for everybody. Not only, like I said, it's a bit confusing. I did find it quite intellectually tiring. Maybe that's more of an indictment on my intelligence levels, but yeah, it's sort of a film where you have to think when you're watching it, put it that way. It's not a turn your brain off and have a few beers kind of film. Yeah, it's good. I will watch it again, probably not for a little while. Maths is probably my worst, or should I say was my worst subject at school. I mean, I know Pi is maths, the Darren Aronofsky film, but it does explain it in like patterns in nature, and I wouldn't say layman's terms, but this is physics, and I find physics is like even more confusing maths than like standard maths or pure maths. Yeah, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Entertaining film, and yeah, if you think it's for you and it's interesting, if you're a physics teacher or something, then if you've watched it or you're going to watch it, let me know what you get out of it and if you understand it more than I did. From one mind twister onto another for a different reason. So that one's kind of a bit of a mind twister. Like I say, it's a lot of intellectual jargon, whereas this one is like watching a black and white acid trip nightmare, A Field in England by Ben Wheatley. So yeah, I did have this on DVD, upgraded this onto Blu-ray, sent the DVD onto Jodie from Jodie's Movie Realm, along with Maniac Cop. I think it's got Tom Atkins and I always call him Ash Williams, Bruce Campbell. Not rewatched that one in years, but obviously I've upgraded that. So yeah, go and check out Jodie's channel. Sure, everybody knows Jodie. Good channel, good film knowledge. Watches a very eclectic compilation of films. You know, 1 minute she's watching a Barbra Streisand, then a kind of classic, and then she'll be watching some like Wes Craven sort of lesser known films of his. But yeah, thank you, Jodie, for the shout out and that, for sending the parcel. My pleasure. Yeah, so from the director of Kill List and Sightseers, I know everybody, or should I say not everybody, Ollie loves film especially, got on with Kill List because it is a very brutal film, but I think it's a well-made film with a good twist, kind of like a folk horror hitman film, very dark and gritty, with Neil Maskell, great actor, and Michael Smiley, also good. Sightseers, kind of like a dark comedy about some like killers at a caravan park. I've not seen it in years. He's done Down Terrace. One Roy gave me recently, I showed. Thank you, Roy. Is it called Free Fire? So yeah, he's quite a varied director, but this is by far, to my knowledge, the weirdest thing Ben Wheatley's done. Got a good cast with Reece Shearsmith from The League of Gentlemen, not just a good actor, but one of my favourite writers. Richard Glover from Sightseers. Michael Smiley from Kill List. I don't know, 90 minutes. So not too long, you know, if you're not getting on with it, it's not like 2-3 hours where it's dragging on. I'll read the little synopsis on the back because it's quite hard to put into words. Fleeing from a battle in the English Civil War, a small group of deserters are captured by an alchemist and forced to aid him in his search for treasure he believes is buried in a nearby field. Crossing a vast mushroom circle, which provides their first meal, the group quickly descends into a chaos of arguments, fighting, and paranoia. As it becomes clear that the treasure may be something older than gold, they slowly become victim to the terrifying energies trapped inside the field. Yeah, so it doesn't kind of make out completely. I think they eat magic mushrooms, although one of them doesn't partake in the mushroom stew, and yet he seems to be on a psychedelic trip with his brain all over the place. So yeah, it's a very not just layered, but you can't really take it on face value. You know, it's that sort of not just weird because it's surreal. You know, David Lynch's films are surreal, but Eraserhead, for example, kind of follows a narrative. It's just a bizarre narrative. Whereas, yeah, this, maybe I didn't get it, but yeah, story and what's going on is kind of hard to follow, but I think it's meant to be because it's shown from their brain. I guess if you're having a mushroom trip, then it's probably, you're not thinking about logic, you're thinking more about the hallucinations. But yeah, really well shot, some brilliant cinematography. I think it kind of suits this being in black and white, just the kind of film it is. There was a few, as it says, 15, contains strong language, once very strong violences and gory images. I guess it's strong language, I won't say it, but when he says the C word, a British favourite. What year? Can't find the year on it. I'm guessing it's about 2012. Never good at finding the year on these things. Does come with a lot of extras, this Blu-ray. But yeah, obviously I had it on DVD and the picture was good. But yeah, noticeably better. Don't know if you can get it on 4K. Not sure I would bother paying to get it on a 4K, as it's not a favourite film. It's the second time I've seen it now. Probably would watch it again, but not for quite a long time. Be the kind of one if one of my mates comes around and he's like, oh, I want to see something weird and surreal. It's quite slow. I didn't ever find it boring. Like I say, good cinematography, good acting, some really haunting scenes. I've said before, I spoke about this in the haul video. Yeah, the bit when he like chain him up in a tent, and then the alchemist is doing something to him. You think he's torturing him, you don't really know, but you can hear him screaming, and then he sort of comes out of the tent and he's like on a rope and he sort of looks possessed, and it's like literally gives me shivers down the spine. That part is, this is kind of, I wouldn't say disturbing, but haunting, and not in a way that, it's violence and stuff that might get to you, like say something like The Exorcist. It's more the surrealness of, it's hard to explain really, you'd have to watch it, but let me know what you think of this when you do get to watch it, Jodie. I think it does seem quite hit and miss. I've never watched, heard anybody say they absolutely love it and it's a 10 out of 10 favourite film. Not heard anybody say they hate it. I guess most people will give it a kind of average score. Yeah, probably not going to be for everyone, but if you are a fan of Ben Wheatley, then I would say it's worth checking out. It does have merit and it is a well-made film. Yeah, I'd probably give that a 6.5, I guess. Not as good as Primer, but better than an average film. It's one I'll keep in the collection. Obviously, I've upgraded it for a reason and passed the DVD on. Next one, much better film. It's a long film. I think it's like 2 hours 20. Can I find 138 minutes? So 60. Yeah, so 2 hours and 18 minutes. One I have watched before years ago when it first came out. I think my family, my mum or someone had a copy on DVD and watched that. Did enjoy it, but couldn't remember too much about it. But on the second viewing, really enjoyed this one. Hopefully not too much glare. Shutter Island, with Leonardo DiCaprio, Mark Ruffalo, Ben Kingsley, Michelle Williams, Emily Mortimer, Patricia Clarkson, and Max von Sydow. Directed by Martin Scorsese. I'm not saying it's the best Scorsese film. He's made better films like Goodfellas and Casino in terms of quality, and I wouldn't say the acting and cinematography is much better than this, but they are more acclaimed films, whereas I find most of Scorsese's films that I do like, say in the top 5, are all kind of crime films, and mostly sort of gangster crime, whereas it's interesting to see him do, I would say this is a thriller more than a horror. I think it has been marketed sometimes as a horror, but I would say it's a thriller. But yeah, I really like films with asylums, like whether they're abandoned, like in Gonjiam Haunted Asylum, or Session 9, or whether it's them, in a asylum that's still working nowadays, like, if I can find it, I only spoke about it recently. It's a Ben Wheatley film. I've basically moved around all this collection and made a bit more space, so where it was here that I was looking at it, Stone Hearst Asylum, I'm thinking it's called. Let's see if I can find it there. Oh yeah, I've moved it down to there. Yep, Stone Hearst Asylum. And then there's a very disturbing documentary about a real asylum back in the day when they used to do electroshock therapy and what do you call it, orbital lobotomies. I think when they put like a tool in behind the eye and like mash up a bit of your brain so you don't think anymore. Whereas this is one in like a working asylum. Without spoiling it, there's a big twist. I don't know if you could predict this twist coming. I'm not going to say it's obvious, but it's not the kind of twist where we make a twist for twist's sake, like you could argue with some of Shyamalan's later films, like say The Village or something. Obviously, the twist in Sixth Sense was good, and I didn't see it coming. I don't think many people did. If they did say they did, then maybe they're bragging. But it's creepy. Really good location. Really like the look of the asylum. Really liked, it's on an island with rain and it's dark, and kind of really added to the atmosphere. Not really something you would think from Scorsese. You can tell by how well made it is, and even though it's got action, it kind of goes along at a slow pace, a bit like a lot of Scorsese without being boring. I'm not sure who plays this lady here. I don't know if you can see her, but she's like one of the patients. Creepy looking lady. Yeah, she's like quite scary in it. Ben Kingsley, really good. Mark Ruffalo hasn't got a massive part. One of Leonardo DiCaprio's better roles outside of like The Revenant, Django Unchained, some of the more well-known films of him. And I'd probably say it's like top 5 sort of acting performances by him that I've seen at least. Prefer this to something like Titanic, personally. Yeah, like I say, good location, well made, never dragged. Same length as The Revenant, and The Revenant I really enjoy. One of my top films of the last 20 years, but I wouldn't say it dragged, but you could feel its length. Maybe it's because you're suffering through it and you just feel so cold when watching it. Whereas, yeah, with this, kind of did feel like a 90-minute film, even though it's longer. Sure, everybody's seen Shutter Island. Won't say too much about it, because like I say, it's a bit spoilerish. But yeah, we'll give that an 8 out of 10. Yeah, second time I've watched that. I kind of knew what the twist was from the first time, but I wouldn't say I forgot what the twist was going to be, but I kind of forgot how it played out and how it built up. So yeah, it's still worth another viewing if you have seen it and you know the twist. But if you're going in first time, then yeah, I'm sure you'll be impressed. I don't think Scorsese makes bad films, to be fair. This one, I've showed all of these on the haul. Most of these I've picked up quite recently. Sometimes I watch a film out of the collection that I've had for 20 years or so. Some I've never watched in all that time on the backlog. But yeah, a lot of these are ones I've probably picked up in the last month or so. This is John McTiernan's Nomads. So this is on Treasured Films. Really like the artwork on that. It's got all the book and that. I won't get all that out. This is about the watching, not the collecting. But John McTiernan. Actually, I will get this bit out just because it's got me some information. Doesn't really show anything on the artwork, but if I want to tell you the running time, etc. So it's 102 minutes. It's a 15, strong language, bloody images and sex. Don't know if it tells me. 1985. Yeah, John McTiernan's first film. When I first picked it up, I was like, I know this director. I know his name, but what has he done? But he's done Predator and Die Hard, so two of the best action films ever, in my opinion. Predator, just loved the dialogue and that. So many quotables. So many macho guys. Die Hard, everybody knows. One of Bruce Willis's best films. Obviously a debate over whether it's a Christmas film or not. Yeah, it's not on the level of those. It is his first film. It's very weird. It's pretty well done. Technically a droid for a first film, so you could tell John McTiernan will go on to do good things. It is weird. It's kind of, yeah, a lot of weird characters in imagery. It's more of a thriller really than a horror. It doesn't feel too B-movie. Pierce Brosnan quite young in it. He's got a beard and that, so he's a bit unrecognisable compared to James Bond. The only thing I did find a bit weird, Pierce Brosnan's French accent all the way through it. He does pull it off well. He's not only French accent sounds good and the way he pronounces the words, but he's delivering the accent. It's not just he'll deliver a line to one person. When him and the French-speaking woman, they do talk in French a bit, and his French sounds quite well pronounced. And then when he's speaking in English in the French accent, he does perform it quite well. But for me, it's just weird seeing Pierce Brosnan do I nearly said Piers Morgan then. Pierce Brosnan doing a French accent, although he pulls it off well, you're kind of well, I know he's not French, but also after seeing him in something like James Bond 007 Goldeneye, or was he in The Lawnmower Man? Not a great film. Things like that, yeah, I kind of found it, I wouldn't say it took me out of it with his French accent, but I just kept noticing it all the time, so I was focusing more on listening to the nuances of his fake French accent more than I was taking in some of the scenery maybe. One thing I did find weird, obviously it wouldn't work in the film if they did, but him and the woman are both French speaking as their main language, and obviously it's for our benefit because they don't want to do it French with subtitles, but they're just constantly speaking in English with a French accent, and the woman doesn't know English that well. His English ain't great. I was if you didn't know film cameras were on and you wrote the script to film it as a British language film, then surely it'd be easier just to talk in your main language. Say me and my mate have both learned a bit of Japanese. You wouldn't sit here struggling to talk in Japanese and barely understand each other. You talk in your mother tongue. So yeah, I found that a bit weird, but good performance by him. Starring Leslie Ann Down, Pierce Brosnan, Anna Maria Monticelli, Adamant, Josie Cotton, Frank Doubleday, Hector Mercado, and Mary Warrenoff. It is American, but it does have a kind of British sort of feel to it, I would say. Obviously, it's got Pierce Brosnan is British, maybe a few of the other actors. Yeah, I think, it does say about Laws of the United Kingdom on the back, so maybe it was shot in the United Kingdom, but yeah, it does have some American actors and things. There's the original artwork. Yeah, I think it's one that's kind of been, I wouldn't say lost for years, but I don't think it's had a UK, British, even DVD. I don't know if it's come out since like the VHS days, but yeah, obviously I do collect all treasured films. Yeah, one of the better ones. I've seen some worse ones on treasured films. Mausoleum, Dawn of the Mummy, Satan's Blood. Yeah, it's better than those. Not as weird as The Island, for example. I know Roy finds that a weird one. Yeah, it's not the best made film. It is weird and it's entertaining, but yeah, I'd probably give this 6 out of 10. I don't think it's going to be for everybody. I was kind of maybe expecting a bit more being a John McTiernan film, but for his first film on a low budget, it's very stylized and yeah, he's done well, but yeah, don't expect Predator or Die Hard is all I'm going to say. And yeah, it never really goes full on horror, but it never has the like intrigue of a thriller. It's just kind of a bit like I can think of a film to compare it to. It does feel 80s. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like it's got a few funny bits, but not quite a comedy horror. I'll see what I'm making the rest of this video whether I can think of any comparisons. Yeah, I'm kind of finding it hard to think of one it's similar to. So I guess that's quite a good thing. It's quite original. If I can't like weigh it up against another one and say it's got similar aesthetics and budget to say Wes Craven's original Hills Have Eyes. Yeah, I'll see if I can think of it just so people know what to expect. But I don't think it was probably the one. Even though I do collect these treasured films, obviously some of them are on just this thinner like version with a slip case, which is only like say 18, whereas this was about 26. Whereas yeah, it's one, to be fair, if I had the choice, I probably would have picked up the slimmer version if they'd released both, like say Arrow, Second Sight, 88 Films do, just because I don't love it, but yeah, it's a nice addition to have. But yeah, if you are going to buy it, I would say might be a bit disappointed if you pay like £26 for it, and I don't think there is a cheaper version. Maybe they'll do one in the future, but yeah, I'd give that a 6. Next, this was a first time watch, really impressed with this one. Obviously I am passing the Arrow Video Blu-ray standard edition on in the competition, so to keep plugging the competition, enter if you want to win the stuff. So obviously I had it on Blu-ray, haven't had it that long, and then upgraded to 4K, watched the 4K before I watched the Blu-ray. Really like the cover art. Larry Cohen film, don't know what else he's done, sure somebody will know, comment down below. I've switched the artwork to this kind of nice green artwork. Yeah, going in I thought it was going to be a horror film, like a low budget horror, but it's a sci-fi. I mean, it's not really got that much gore or like violence and stuff. It kind of feels a bit like I wouldn't say a family sci-fi because obviously it's a 15, but yeah, I guess it's kind of similar sort of feel to like The Blob or something. It says on the back here it's released in 1996. I guess this is just when it was released on a certain version. Because yeah, I'm pretty sure Stuart George's Home Movies did say it's an 80s one. It does feel like an 80s film. I'd be surprised if it was 96. Yeah, it's good acting. Oh yeah, saying he did It's Alive. Yeah, I do remember that. It wasn't too bad. It's like an evil baby in a pram. Whereas the remake of It's Alive, really bad that was. I remember watching that once. The actors, Michael Moriarty, really good in it. Andrea Marcovici, Garrett Morris, Scott Bloom, Paul Sorvino, and the guest star Danny Aiello. Really good as you'd expect from him, the best, but he's not in it too much, Danny Aiello, unfortunately. This guy, I'm guessing that is Michael Moriarty. He's like the main actor in it, really. He really clever acting, where at some points when he's basically like not an industrial spy, yeah, like industrial espionage, he'll like go into another company, get paid. So say you work for Mars and your enemy's Cadbury's, then you send him in to not only spy on Cadbury's but to try and bring them down from the inside and like hurt their production, and you can like pay him for like not just industrial espionage, industrial what's the word? Yeah, basically go in and cause a problem. But yeah, when he's sort of talking to the people, when he's going to learn about the stuff, he plays really dumb, and he plays dumb and like stupid really well, and you kind of believe he is for half the film. But then when he needs to turn it on, he's a lot more intelligent than that. So yeah, good how he switches between the two roles. Really good effects. Bit when the stuff gets loose and it's like pinning people to the walls and stuff looks good. really good picture and colours in 4K. Obviously, I've never seen a lesser version to really know what an upgrade it is. There is two versions. I watched this one is like the standard version, which is 87 minutes, and then there's a longer version at 119 minutes, which usually I would go for the longer version, but it's a pre-release version. So I think it's got a lot of extra footage, over 30 minutes of additional footage and different music score. I'd always rather watch the original release first, unless it was the way the directors intended it. But also, yeah, I'm not sure if the extra footage is in 4K. I know I'll say the Exorcist 3 4K version I've got. There's the director's cut, which has extra footage, but it's like VHS grade, and on the Blu-ray it wasn't so noticeable, whereas on the 4K it does kind of look jaunty when you do see the rescued sort of previously lost footage. So yeah, I will have to go back and watch the other version and see what the extra half an hour is. But yeah, I thought I'd watch it, the sort of normal version most people will watch first. Yeah, really interesting concept. I guess it's kind of sci-fi where it's not really a spoiler to say they find this like hole in the ground and this like white stuff is bubbling up, a bit like say magma from a volcano. But when they taste it, it's like sweet like a dessert. And then rather than test it and see what chemical properties it's got and whether it's safe for human consumption and register it as a trademark through the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, as I think this is made in America, they basically just start selling it, not knowing what it is, if it's dangerous. Won't sort of say what happens too much, but yeah, it's got a bit of a disaster, sci-fi sort of edge to it. And then yeah, they're selling it everywhere. It's a bit of a riff on consumerism, a satire, a bit like RoboCop. But yeah, really enjoyed that. Fun film, kind of light-hearted, bit silly, but what you'd expect from this sort of thing. Yeah, I'd give that a 7.5 out of 10. Quite impressive for a first-time watch, and one I will be going back to. Each week, each recent watches episode recently, I usually try and watch at least a foreign film, world cinema, not just to talk about it on here, but obviously I'm a big fan of those. Usually a Tartan Asia Extreme, which I haven't got round to this week, but I also try and watch like a classic or a favourite film, one that I know is going to be like 9 out of 10, so I can score one high. Obviously before I've watched Jaws, which I gave a 10, Parasite I gave a 10, Old Boy if I rewatched it on this. Yeah, obviously that's some of my favourites. So like I say, if a film's flawless and I really love it, I'll give it a 9. To be a 10, it has to have like nostalgic merit where I watched it a lot when I was younger, like The Thing or Alien, or it has to be, I've had to have viewed it a few times. If I watch a film once, I won't give it a 10 because I might give it a re-watch months later and be like, oh, actually, it wasn't as good as I thought. Some films do improve with time. As obviously, we get a 10, it can't really improve unless it's Spinal Tap, which gets an 11. Sure, everybody knows this one. Absolute masterpiece, Blade Runner. So I've always had it on DVD. Used to like the DVD copy, which was like the 2-disc version. Gave that one to my mate. He doesn't really own many films, but he's always wanted to watch Blade Runner and never seen it. He's only got the DVD version, which isn't a great picture. I probably will eventually upgrade this to 4K. But yeah, I got this one in CX a while ago, and obviously the Blu-ray was an upgrade for me from the DVD. I'd say this is one of the rare films. As much as I love The Thing and Alien, they've made it into pop culture infamy, but they are, sounds harsh to say, but just films. Don't get me wrong, I prefer The Thing to this, but I'd say this transcends film, and it is actually art. The music in it, the bit when there's like a big hovering advertising screen, and then there's like a Chinese lady, and basically first you just hear this weird like singing, shouting voice, and like what the hell is that? And then she sort of comes into screen, and she's like advertising. Yeah, it's got, I wouldn't say it's like a sort of got like a satire on like capitalism, like say RoboCop or the stuff has, but it does have a lot of like flying billboards. I guess this is the future, but yeah, the world he creates, it's quite a slow burn film, but never boring. Yeah, there's not too much action. I could see some people that aren't fans of film, or maybe younger people would watch this for the first time, and I think they respect the dialogue, the way it looks, the acting, especially the dialogue by Rutger Hauer, the world he creates. But yeah, you might sort of find it slow to compare to, some like action films like Terminator 2 or something. But yeah, it's kind of a slow burn, but never boring. I think I said in the WhatsApp group, this is a kind of film where 99% of the time this would be style over substance. And although it's so stylish, it does actually have the substance to back it up. It's got a lot of layers. Every time I watch it, I learn something new. I know my friend when we were younger. He was like a few years below me. So I think he was in sixth form and I was like in college, and he was doing media film studies, and they had him basically watching this, like breaking it down. They were doing dissertations, 1,000-word essays, not just a film they get you to study because it's so well made, but like I say, it just has so much depth, so many like allegories, so stylized, brilliant acting. Sure, everybody spoke about it. I know Roy Barrett from Blue Roy Movies, I think this is his favourite film, but the bit with Rutger Hauer, brilliant dialogue. But once I found out he's apparently ad-libbing in, what's the word? Not freestyling, makes it up on the spot basically. Improv? Yeah, improvises it. Yeah, it gives you shivers down your spine when he's on about attack ships on the horizon and tears in the rain. Yeah, if he's come up with that, not only good dialogue, but the things he's saying does actually match the sort of feel and the sort of mythology of the film, where he's obviously talking about like the attack ships in near Jupiter or something, I think he said. So it's all sort of space dialogue and things. Everybody's good. Probably my favourite Harrison Ford performance. Prefer this to him as Han Solo, Indiana Jones. He's done some iconic roles, but Decker, yeah, so many quotable, such a good atmosphere. It's basically always dark and raining throughout. I love films where it's like raining all the time. Not so much in real life, don't get me wrong, I like the rain at certain times, but I also like the sun and all kinds of weather depending on what you're doing. But yeah, certain films I just find them cozy if I'm like in watching it. It's raining. Yeah, I mean, what can I say about Blade Runner? That hasn't been said, everybody knows this. I'm not sure if it's in my top 5 films, definitely within my top 10. If I had to order them, kind of hard in it to do if I do a video, I'd probably do top 15 and cheat a bit, just because about 5 I don't want to leave out. But yeah, if it's not in the top 5, it'd be in maybe 6th place. But out of all the directors, maybe Spielberg, obviously I've spoke before, Jaws is in my top 10. Maybe Jurassic Park as a kid and growing up, I always loved it. It was always maybe one of my favourites for a while, but now maybe it's dropped out the top 10. I might only have one Spielberg in there, but yeah, shows the merit of Ridley Scott, that Alien and Blade Runner are both in the top 10, if not the top 5. So what a director the guy is. Gladiator also brilliant, maybe in the top 15. Recently picked up Thelma and Louise by him, which I watched on TV as a kid but can't remember. But yeah, I'm not going to say any more because, you know, there's more articulate people out there that have wrote essays on this, so I'm not going to do it justice. So I'm going to say I'll give it a 10 out of 10. Best watch of the week, one of the best watches of the year. Yeah, masterpiece. Like I say, transcends film and is actually a piece of art. I think it's one they'll be watching in 50 years and still won't seem dated on that. Yeah, the effects. Probably my favourite scene when they first go into, I forget his name, this guy here. He basically, sorry, I don't know if you can see him there in that. Does it tell me his name on the back? Probably tells me the actor's name, but his character name. He has this like house workshop kind of thing, and he's like the one that's created the androids. And when they go in there, there's like these mannequins and sort of toys, and yeah, it's really like the style of that. Oh, nearly forgot to say the score by Vangelis, not only euphoric, brilliant, like spine tingling, but yeah, one of the best scores ever. Fits so well to the film. I think that's what elevates it into art. It's a lot to do with the score. Something very different from Blade Runner, a timeless classic, onto this very contemporary style film, which has had mixed reviews, is Nicolas Cage in The Surfer. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. I was quite surprised. I know Angelo from the Pang film, shouted him out a few times, but a great channel. Go and check out his stuff. Really funny, sort of charismatic guy. Usually agree with him on a lot of films, a lot of his favourites and top films and like the martial arts he spoke about. I'm with him on most of those, whereas he did say he kind of lost him halfway and he thought it was too weird. Well, I heard a lot of people say it was weird, and I expected weird. And when I say weird, I'm on about like David Lynch, A Field in England. What was the one I showed the other day? Taxidermia. Yeah, I've seen some very obscure, bizarre films, so maybe I'm a bit jaded to weirdness, but wasn't as weird as I thought it was going to go. Yeah, first half is kind of like a normal film where he basically wants to surf on the beach with his son. The locals won't let him, as you can see, locals only. Hopefully you can see that about the glare. They basically like threaten to beat him up, and it's like this like little group of surfers. Obviously, it's like set in Australia, and I can't really say what happens from there, but it goes in a way you don't expect, but once it started, I thought something even, without spoiling that, I thought it was going to go on a revenge kind of thing and like kill the people. I wouldn't say if he does or not, but it does play out differently to that. Two bits absolutely made me laugh out loud more than any comedies. Not because it broke tension, I just found it really funny. I won't say what happens, it spoiled it, but two bits with a rat is all I'm going to say. Beautiful locations, good cinematography, really well shot. Yeah, it's not going to be for everyone. I don't think many people could say it's a bad film, but I guess when it gets weird halfway through, it will take some people out of it. I'm guessing it's from this year, yeah, 2025. I think it came out on the Monday and I picked it up that day. 100 minutes approx. 15, very strong language, strong violence, drug misuse, sex references, suicide. Yeah, quite brutal, but it's not going to, be that disturbing, I wouldn't have thought. Directed by Lorcan Finnegan, don't really know much by him. Stars Nicolas Cage, Julian McMahon, Nick Kassim, Miranda Tapsell, Alexander Bertrand, Justin Rosniak. Can't say I've heard of a lot of those other than Nick Cage, but they're all good in it. Yeah, it's not going to be for everybody, but if you want to see a film that's weird, where it basically twists halfway through what's going on, not like a plot twist like The Sixth Sense, but yeah, you're not really going to see where the story's going. Doesn't have that much surfing, probably doesn't have as much surfing as Point Break, which, is a heist movie with more surfing really than The Surfer has, but yeah, I liked it. It's all kind of nice shot, nice colours. Not going to be for everybody. Yeah, I think I'd give that a 7 out of 10. One of the, just a good performance from Nicolas Cage, but one of the better things he's done recently compared to some of the crap he was doing a while ago. Right, and then this one, a classic in my opinion, one I grew up with, loved as a child. Watched this probably like 8 times or so, I'm guessing. Was thinking of watching it a few times recently. I've only watched it like a year or two ago, so I didn't want to rewatch it too soon. But then I think it was re-showing in a cinema in Bristol, so Ollie from Ollie Loves Film was going and sort of said, am I working? And I was, unfortunately, so I couldn't go along. I think Angelo also wanted to see us at the cinema. It's The Goonies. So it's directed by Richard Donner, story by Steven Spielberg, screenplay by Chris Columbus. So yeah, 3 of the top guys from the 80s, in my opinion. It's 85. It came out the year after I was born. Yeah, I remember the first time I seen this, must have been like 4 or 5 years old. And I remember when they first meet Sloth, obviously he turns, without spoiling it, I'm sure everybody's seen this, he turns out to be a goodie, if that's the word, a friend. But yeah, they kind of ramp it up where they go down and he's in this dark room and you can just see his silhouette and he's shouting and you think he's a monster. I do remember being scared of him. See him a bit better later on. He's not as scary once he's in a Superman cape. Loads of quotables, really good music. Absolutely love the, is it called Goonies Are Good Enough from Cyndi Lauper. Kind of sets the tone really with that. Brilliant cast, absolutely stacked. Let's see if it tells me who the cast are. No, it doesn't really say the cast, but it's got I always forget his name. Is it Josh Brolin? I always say James Brolin, but I think that's his dad. It's got a young Hobbit. Oh, what's his name? Doesn't it tell me any of the actors? Sean Astin. It's got, I'm not sure his name, but I think it's Short Round, they call him, out of Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's got Corey Feldman. Not sure who that lady is, but she plays the mother of the Fratellis. She's a real beastly looking lady, but she's really good in it. The Fratellis are really good sort of criminals. Yeah, it's got a few moments of peril and bit. I mean, it says on the back is 12 contains hanging scene. Without spoiling it, because it's very on near the start. The guy's pretending to hang himself, so it don't really happen. But they probably might have cut that out of some of the TV showings of it. It's really good music by Dave Grusin. Can't say I've heard of him, but iconic. Not just the music they have, the pop video from Cyndi Lauper, but the sort of main theme in that. It does sound a bit like a John Williams kind of score, really. Surprised it's not, considering, the guys. Produced by Steven Spielberg, Frank Marshall, and Kathleen Kennedy. I guess that's before she went on to saturate Disney. 114 minutes. Yeah, I won't say any more, sure everybody knows Goonies, but kind of like a kid's version of Indiana Jones, but with a bit more Pirate Cove, kind of monster in sloth, villains. Yeah, just a really fun adventure romp. Yeah, always been a favourite as a kid, still one of my favourites now. I don't think it would be in my top 15, but it's a fun film. Remember every time I turn on the TV when I was younger or even a few years ago, it'd be on. I'd always watch it in its entirety. It's just a kind of film that grabs you. My favourite scene probably when they're in the sort of caves and there's this piano made of like bones and stuff, and they have to play it, and as she's getting it wrong, the ground's crumbling away. That's like a lot of peril and intrigue in that bit. Yeah, that's enough, I guess. I can't bang on about Goonies all day long, but yeah, I'd give that a 9. Really fun film. I know a few people don't love it. I can kind of see why, because it is, even though it's well made, it is kind of like a family adventure. If you want that, then Indiana Jones probably a bit better made than this, to be fair. But yeah, I've always liked it, and yeah, 9 for Goonies. So yeah, that's everything I've watched in the recent watches. I'll be back in maybe 2 weeks or so till I do the next one. Got a few planned already, a few I've picked up. Next I'm going to record. I've just been on a charity shop hunting with Ollie from Ollie Loves Film. I've only picked up about 10 films, but sorry, I'm looking at them over there. I've got some quite good ones, like out of print, and one that's worth about £8 sealed that I found for £1. So yeah, I'm going to record that now, so that'll be in the next video. Take part in the giveaway. Sorry this has gone on for 40 minutes. My recent watches always do. I guess I get too passionate about the films. I mean, I could have spoke for 5 hours about Blade Runner, so you're lucky, really. It wasn't as long as a Sammy G epic. Shout out to Sammy G's World of Cinema. Right, thank you for watching, everybody. Bye.